Good morning, class. I'm back here with another video. So, Xleaper, right? It is a project that I'm actually kind of interested in. And the reason is I actually had a different video plan called Hack Your E-Waste, and I might just talk about that in here because it's related. So somebody gave me a iMac 8 1, right, which is from early 2008. It's got a Core 2 Duo, 4 gigs of RAM, mechanical hard drive, the whole 9 yards, right? Well, Wayland kinda works. It almost works on this hardware, but it can't do things like recover from sleep, so you have to just keep the power on forever. You can't turn off the display. Whatever you want to do is not going to work. So I installed EndeavourOS i3 on it, and what that does is it works pretty much perfectly. Everything just works out of the box. It's relatively faster than a full desktop environment. It's good for the system, right? So the problem is if you wanted to daily this system, you're going to be stuck on X11. Basically, Wayland doesn't work. It will probably never work, and there's no hope for this device. It is that old. You know what I mean? And on Linux, there's a big argument to be made that you get hardware support for much longer than you do on, say, Windows, or Mac OS or whatever. So, X Libra aims to make the X server more secure, more modernized, fix a lot of bugs, merge all these PRs that were never merged. Basically, killing off xorg entirely was kind of a shit idea, and it is important that we have a community trying to maintain a fork of it because it is still important for these devices, whether it be your preference to use xorg, maybe you're just familiar with it, maybe Wayland doesn't work on your device, maybe there's nobody working on your device for Wayland, so xorg is still an important part of the Linux ecosystem. And now I'm actually finding out that OpenRC, the NVIDIA proprietary driver, and like really just alternates in general, don't really play well with Wayland desktop environments and window managers, surprisingly. That's become a lot of my bugs that I'm finding. So what do, right? You use xorg until whatever, it's not supported in the kernel or something anymore. So it's important that we have a, fork of it for these devices that just can't run it, you know? Because a lot of the work under the hood still needs to be done to make Wayland completely universal. I don't think it's ever going to happen. I think by modern display protocol, I think that means that it's going to work on modern devices, and these older devices are going to be kind of left in the dust. So that creates a lot of e-waste, kind of like the Windows 11, system requirements create a lot of e-waste. We can't be having that in Linux. There has to be a use for these old devices. And what I was going to say in that other video was people give me a lot of these older devices like ARM v7 tablets and Chromebooks and old Intel Chromebooks and all this other shit, and routers and all that. And what I do with them is I hack them and I make them run a different, more secure, more up-to-date operating system, and then I usually give them away, you know? Or if it's a device where there's a lot of bugs, I will keep the device and stay up to date with the bug tracker. So, like on the Surface tablet I'm working on, I've got Windows 10 on it because the Linux development isn't really there anymore. That community's kind of died. But the Windows 10 development for ARM32 has continued, and stuff like React OS is in the pipeline for these old, like, Tegra Surface devices. And so it's important that I have a more modern, relatively up to date system to run software, and then eventually it will be wasted because you can't use anything on it anymore. And that's basically what it'll come down to. So Linux is supposed to be the saving grace for generic computers, and X11 is a huge part of that. Having a working display protocol, display server, or whatever, is obviously a hugely important part of having a desktop operating system. So by not maintaining it, you have effectively made these devices vulnerable to things like exploits or just generally not a good experience, So I'm glad that they're forking it. I know that people get into their politics a lot. I don't really give a fuck about politics as long as your code's good, really. But that's been a hot topic people have had now is they want everybody to move over to Wayland, and it's like, yeah, I can do that on my modern system, but a lot of my older devices can't even run it. And so, like, what are they supposed to do? And so I think that's important to understand for people to, kind of get through their heads is X11 can't go anywhere because it is the only option for a lot of devices. And so I'll see you guys later. Bye.